Hey, it's Patrick O'Driscoll from TVG. In this video, I'm actually going to show you a live consulting call that we had with an up-and-coming brand to walk them through our exact process and system for scaling ads in 2024 and now into 2025. It's myself and our head of growth, Alex Vasquez, that's leading this client through exactly what we would do if we were in their shoes to scale up the brand. I think this training is super valuable for brands that are starting to get into advertising and want to see exactly step by step in the ad account how to set up your campaigns for success. There's a lot of information and ideas and strategies on YouTube. I think this is the most clear, bulletproof way to start getting better results on your ads. We talk about creative testing, we talk about ad account setup, and really just show you exactly what we do on a daily basis here at our growth marketing agency, TVG. So if you get any value from this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe for more trainings like this. Let's get into this training.
Hey, what's up, Tristan?
Yo, what's up, dude?
Not much. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Cool. Well, this call will, like I said, I want to, I have Alex here. Alex leads like all our paid acquisition, is a killer in the space. So really what I think makes this call most productive is kind of just like a live walkthrough, see what you got going on, like what issues you're experiencing, running the ads all by yourself. And then my intention, hopefully point you in the right direction. And like I said, I'm happy to connect you with some freelancers that might be able to do it within your budget. But for right now, like our big thing is like, if you have like the fundamentals and things in place, then hopefully you can be, on a good trajectory over the next few months. And transparently, you're advertising during a difficult time. November, December, just like the cost to advertise for like a brand that just, getting up and running. It's definitely a difficult time. So like from a cost perspective, that could be one of the reasons as well. But walk us through like what you got going on. Obviously, I've seen your ads. I've seen what you're up to. What are you trying to do right now? Like what's been the strategy up to this point? And then maybe we can even do like a live ad account walkthrough to see what you got going on there.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and share my screen. And
cool.
This was last month's. And basically, I don't really necessarily have no strategy, if I'm being honest. Like I have over 150 static ads. They're not all in here because from what I've gathered, a lot of people are like, test about 20 at a time. But if you see, like, I was fucking around with this interest targeting, like whatever, which that was just me playing around. Obviously, I can't be spending $700 to acquire customers. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm sitting here shooting myself in the foot, which don't get me wrong, the interest target campaign was working a little bit, but I think I let that run a little bit too long before switching the interest. So we kind of switched back over to the Advantage Plus, and that's kind of what we're doing right now. I only have like 4 or 5 videos in here, which we're starting to push more of the video content around the ad space. Been keeping a close eye on really the winners and just kind of pushing those. Probably going to start running more of the different static, but overall, I'm just trying to get my cost per result down. And like, realistically, doing 3x what the industry standard is, from my understanding, is not going to work.
And then just real quick, go over what you're selling real quick. What's the cost, like, and what does it cost? Just because I wanted to purposely come in here like in this meeting knowing zero, just so I can kind of get a feel for what you're doing. Okay, so you have so it's the gummies, gotcha.
Yeah, we sell the only essential amino acid gummy that's clinically dosed within the world. So cost is not very high. I mean, to make it, but being a more premium product, we're priced at the top of the market, which could be, one of the things. We don't do very deep discounts. So our welcome offer right now is sitting at 20%.
Gotcha.
Black Friday, we're going to do 25%, which I don't really want to go into like the sales and all that stuff, because we don't want to be like a super salesy brand. Is there anything more specific that you're?
No. And then is it this one product, or do you have multiple?
Yeah, it's just this one product right now.
Got it. Okay. All right. And then can you jump back into your ads manager? And so how another couple questions. How is your do you have any social posts that are just like doing really, really well? Kind of like just a couple here and there that are getting really good feedback. Not ads, but just like organic posts within your feed?
I mean, we're sitting at like 200 followers, so nothing like crazy.
Okay, so brand
like
new. Got it. Okay.
We're a baby brand. We've
Got
been
it.
on market for 3.5 months now, so
Okay, no worries.
very slow.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I would do. Well, just because here's some things that may help you. So, because you'll get lots of different direction from lots of different people, especially if you start diving into like, YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that we have found is that, 4, 5, 6 years ago, you had to do a lot of like specific targeting, interest-based stuff. Okay, I'm gonna send these ads to people that are interested in, fitness or gyms or whatever. And that was kind of the way that you did it back then. Now it's very different because I mean we all know at this point Meta basically, especially for people in their 20s, Meta basically has your entire life mapped out. In terms of like, what you do, what you buy, buying patterns, all that stuff. So the what makes it good for us as advertisers is we don't really have to do the heavy lifting when it comes to targeting. What that means is when you're creating a campaign, you can really do it broad, so you don't have to do any. Really the only targeting you have to do is age, geographic, and I'm assuming you're nationwide, so U.S. based, whatever that age range is, and then gender. Those are really, in essence, those are the three main things that you have to do when you're talking about targeting. In your case, and there's obviously some exceptions to that, but what the more important thing is you want to make sure that your copy, the messaging in your ads, and then the any kind of copy or any kind of audio that's in your actual creative matches the messaging for whoever you're wanting to target. Because Facebook, Meta is basically going to scan through your message, and it's going to scan through your creative, and it's going to say, okay, based on the information on here, I'm going to serve that ad to the right people. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you don't have to say, hey, I want to hit, gym bros or whatever your avatar is. All you have to do is you just need to focus on the messaging. The other thing that I would do is I would create a campaign. So, and we can talk for like hours on this stuff. So I'm trying to just give you like high level pieces. But when it comes to campaign structure, what I would suggest doing is you create a campaign that is initially for testing. Okay, so you have one campaign, and actually we can build it right now. So like if you want to just like hit create, I'll kind of walk you through some of this stuff, even if you're not gonna like run anything right this second, but just like hit create, and I'll walk you through a couple things. Hit sales, hit continue. Okay, so let's pause at this real quick. So Meta is really going to it's going to push you very hard to do this Advantage Plus shopping campaign. Now, what I suggest is doing a manual sales campaign first. And then once you have that like cooking and doing well, then you can branch out and do the Advantage Plus. But I would start with the manual. And so go ahead and hit continue. And the reason why is because okay, I would scroll down a little bit. I'm going to go over a couple things. Okay, stop right there. Okay, so Advantage Plus catalog, I would switch that off. Okay, for now, because what you want to do, the thing that makes it really complicated with Meta is that they give you like 10 different ways to add all these additions onto what you're trying to do. And when you're starting off, you really want to have more of a control of the ads that you're creating. Okay. And so anytime you do okay, so let's scroll down a little bit. Okay. So, and I'll just go over a couple of I'm going to assume like, nothing. Okay. So I'm going to like go over all these pieces. So the Advantage campaign budget, this is important whenever you kind of already have an idea of what's winning. And so what the Advantage campaign budget does is instead of, in essence, you give this campaign a dollar amount. Let's say it's $50 a day, $100 a day, whatever. and it will just spend. Facebook will determine which one of your ad sets and which one of your ads are doing the best, and it's going to push money to that specific ad set and that specific ad. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But when you're just starting out, you really there's just a lot more work to be done before you get to that point. Because ideally, what you want to do is you want to have a testing campaign, which we're kind of setting up now, and then once you have some good feedback, you're going to create a new campaign with where pretty much all these settings are the same. One of the only things that you're going to change is you're going to switch that Advantage campaign budget on, and then you're going to have an ad set inside there that's like a winning bucket. Okay, so like you have your winning campaigns, you're going to move them into this into this new campaign and have this switched on. And so Facebook is going to have, like, you're going to give Facebook, hey, these are ads that I know they're tested, they win, and so you're just going to give it a budget, and it's going to continue to like run that budget. Okay.
Yeah.
But for this, we just keep it off, because what this means is we're going to control on the ad set level how much each campaign is going to spend. Okay. A/B test, I almost always keep that off because you can do your own A/B testing in different ways. Scroll down a little bit. Okay, a couple other things. So reporting, this is going to be important down the road, but since you guys are so new, it's not as important right now. But once I would say in another, maybe like in February, March or so, you're going to want to define your engaged audience and your existing customer audience. And and typically that is where you sync up like your Shopify, you sync up your whatever your email, your email client, Klaviyo, Yapo, whatever it might be. And so you're pushing that data into Facebook all the time, and you're saying, these are my customers that are buying, and these are people that are engaged, but they're not buying. But for now, you can basically leave that. You can ignore that. Okay. So click on the new sales ad set. So here's the next part. Okay. What I would do is I would have the way that we build it is we do an ad set and an ad. We always only do 1 and 1. Okay. Because technically you can have as many ads within an ad set as you want, but it can get way too confusing to track things. Okay. So what I would suggest is you do one ad set and one ad, and you always name them the same thing, because it's going to help you to track that correctly. Okay. So like again, just as like a test, you can, in the new sales ad set name, just call that like 1, or whatever. That doesn't matter. We're just for test. So you can call it 1. Mm-hmm. And then I go into new sales ad, right? I click on the left side, and then I name that one 1 also. Okay. So that's like your first step. Then go back to the ad set. Okay. Here's the next thing that you want to determine. If you can, you want to make sure that you're doing website and shop, because Meta really loves it whenever you're pushing ads to their Facebook shop. If you have Shopify, which I assume you do, that's a really easy connection, right? So you have your catalog, and especially when you have one product, it makes it super easy, right? So it's basically saying, I want Meta to push people to my physical website, and I also want them to push to my the catalog product within Shopify. So scroll down a little bit. Performance goal, almost always want that to be what it is. Data set, obviously that's going to be your pixel. So you want to click on that data set. Yep, pixels, conversions API is working, which is great. Purchase event obviously is what you want. Cost per result goal, typically you want to leave that blank, because we found that it doesn't really make a huge difference when you put that, but you can test things. Okay, the next part is dynamic creative, and this is like super important, right? So you want to switch dynamic creative on, and it's gonna say, just hit continue. Daily budget, that's fine. You really typically I don't ever do a start or an end date, because again, anytime you give Facebook more information that it needs, it's going to try and be like, it's going to throttle things. Okay. So you never set an end date for an ad. And the start date is just whenever you publish it. Budget scheduling, you don't really ever have to do. Scroll down. Okay. Here's another piece. So on audience controls, this is where I'm saying you can kind of, here's a couple things you can do. So what I would say at the very beginning, where it says Advantage plus audience, I would switch that to original audience. Okay. So see where it says switch to original audience options. Yep. And then just hit use original audience. Okay. That's the first thing I would do. Because again, when you're starting out just at the beginning, you don't want to give Meta like a million different things to test because it's going to spend too much money trying to do 100 different things. Okay. It's gonna warn you and say like do all these things, make it cheaper, whatever. But as you've already seen, that's not the case. Okay. So scroll down a little bit. Okay. So so your location, age, and gender. That's the only thing you have to worry about at the beginning. Okay. Once you get further down the line, 6 months down the road, you can start doing exclusions. You can exclude buyers, all that kind of stuff. But again, you guys are just too new to do that. So basically at the beginning, leave all this broad. I wouldn't tell Facebook gender, age, any of that kind of stuff. Let it determine that on its own. Unless you just really know your avatar and you're like, hey, we're literally only advertising to, I mean, we know that our product is only for, 18 to 30-year-olds, then do that. But if you don't have a good handle on that yet, just leave it broad. Because this is actually a really good way at the beginning to even determine what your avatar is, right? So you figure out, like, if you don't know, just let Meta do the work. And, a couple months down the road, you're going to have data on who actually is buying your product, which then that's going to help you have some direction there. Okay, on the Advantage Plus placements, you always want to leave that turned on. Okay, so that can stay. You don't have to mess with that. Okay, so now click on the ad level. All right. Scroll down a little bit. Okay, so here's a couple things. And I'll kind of explain what these pieces are. So multi-advertiser ads, that's another way for Meta to kind of do additional testing on your ads. So it's going to put it in multiple places. Again, this is something you can turn on down the road, but right now you want to have as much of your stuff controlled as possible. So I would switch that off. Scroll down. Okay, so this is the really important part, and like something I think you could do. What we typically do is we do what's called like a 3-2-2 method. Okay, so we have 3 pieces of media, whether that's images or videos. Then you have 2 primary texts and 2 headlines, and that's it. Okay, because here's what this whole ad is basically called a dynamic. It's a DCT. It's a dynamic creative text test. So you're going to give it multiple images or videos. You're going to give it multiple primary texts and you're going to give it multiple headlines. Okay. And so every one of those mixtures, Facebook is going to mix and match, as you're spending money. It's going to, it's going to do image 1 with primary text 1 and headline 1. And then it's going to do image 2 with primary text 1 and headline 1. It's going to do all those different variants. And every time it makes a variant, that's going to cost you money, right? Even if it's like, a 0.001 cents, whatever it is, that's a test. So if you add 10 images and 10 primary text and 10 headlines and 10 descriptions, you're in essence, you're creating thousands of variants, right? And that's all that's going to do is it's going to give you a ton of it's going to take too long for that testing to happen. So generally we do the 3-2-2 because it's enough variant for Meta to like do its thing, but it's not so much that it's going to spend a ton of money. Description, you never have to fill that out. It's like totally irrelevant. So scroll down. Website, obviously the URL, that's where you want them to go. The display link, you never have to fill that out. Browser add-ons, you don't want that to be on. The shop, you're going to send them obviously directly to that one product, right? So click on destination, use product pages. Yep. And so it'll be, that one product. So for as long as you guys have the product, you're going to send that's where you're going to set. Call to action is irrelevant. So typically, I just put shop now. That's the one you can do. Yep, and that's fine. Tracking, that all kind of depends on if you have tracking, third-party stuff. More than likely you don't at this point. But if you ever get like triple whale or whatever, then you would put that in the URL parameters. Tags don't really matter. Offline events don't really matter. And then promo codes. So this can be really, really good if you have like a welcome code. So if you're, if you're doing, let's say you're doing a 20% off, right, for ads, I would put that promo code in that section because Facebook will display that code to certain people, to certain placements, and you know, it actually looks, it works really well. Tags don't matter. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So like if you have, so like go scroll up a little bit. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Go to the, okay, so do like select images, and it'll pull up, you know, a library of stuff. So this is typically what you want to do is you want to have you want to build these ad sets based on like creative hypotheses. Okay, so messaging, whatever that might be. Okay, so you create an idea, and then you create 3 different creatives, images, videos, whatever, that are kind of based on that idea. And then each ad set is like is basically, it's an idea or a hypothesis, whatever you want to call it. So let's say, I'm just looking through some of your stuff. Okay, let's take the Black Friday sale, for example, right? So so you have that 10, 11, and 12. If you're going to Black Friday sale, I would select 10, 11, and 12 for all, you know, for those are your three variants, right? Hit continue. So those are your three creatives, right? Then under that, the other thing I would do is at the beginning, the optimized creative for each person, that's yet another testing method that Meta uses. So I turn that off, because again, that's going to create more pieces of content, right? Then under the primary text, you know, you would have that's so what I would normally do is you can use, like, you know, ChatGPT, something like that, and you can create 2 different variants for the primary text. Typically, you want that to be, you know, 1 sentence, maybe 2 sentences, but that's a little bit more of a long form. That's in the actual description. But just like, you know, just like any content, you want the hook to be at the beginning, right? So yeah, so you know, you want to have 1 to 2 sentences, hook at the beginning, then on the headline, and then that you want 2 versions of that, right? Text generation, again, that's another thing that Meta uses. So you never want to turn that on, because then as soon as you turn that on, you're creating hundreds of variants for Meta to test. Yep. So yep, exactly. Same thing on the description. And Meta makes it very, like, Facebook loves to just like accidentally switch this stuff on too. So you got to be really careful. And then description, you want to, oh, sorry, headline, you want to have 2. And so with the headline, you want that to be like barely 1 sentence, because, and as you type this stuff out, once we put that URL in there, it's going to give you a preview on the right, and we can kind of see how it is, right? So, yeah. Okay. So I love seeing the preview, because it gives you a really nice breakdown of how it's all going to look. So you can see, right, like if you in the headline where it says barely 1 sentence, you only have a very small amount. You have basically 2 lines to work with there. So that has to be very short. You know, it's basically just the hook, right? So it's like, you know, Black Friday starts now, 25% off Black Friday. You know what I'm saying? But then that's it. Like this is basically the roadmap for how you can build all of your ads to start with. So on the ad set level, you give it a daily limit. So let's say you want to spend $100. What I would do, $100 a day, I would create, you know, 2 to 4 different ad sets, split that money up, and then let those spend for 7 days. You can see what works, and then once you see what works, then you can basically dive in. If you hit that the little arrow button on the very right, kind of like right middle. Yep. Yeah, click on that. Okay, once this is published, you're going to have some additional options where it says Facebook message with comments. Okay, whenever you've given this ad about 5 or 7 days, then you can click on that post, and it will basically show you the most optimized version, or the winning. Usually, it shows you the winning mixture of that ad. So it's going to show you the best image, the best text, and the best description. So that's going to give you some good direction for when you're doing new ads. And then that's basically, I mean, you know, again, I know we only have so much time to go over this, and we talk about it for hours, but that's like a really high level for you to determine, okay, this image works the best, this text works the best, this, you know, headline works the best. And then when you do your next test, then you can have like a 1v2, right? And then just kind of keep going down the line. And that's, yeah, I know I just talked for a long time, but
do you have any questions first, Tristan? That was a lot.
Nah, I don't have any questions, man. Like I said, I'm just in here fucking around, spending my money on stuff. Like I don't expect it to be like a $20 cost per result or anything, but I mean, whenever you're creeping for 200 plus for consecutive months, I mean, there's definitely stuff that I've done, like the text generation stuff. Like I've used it in the past for what sounds good, but obviously I didn't know that it would just keep
I mean, most
continuously
people don't.
like, so I mean, it's just the little stuff like that that could be the make or break for the product. So I'd rather.
Can I take over screen share real quick? So I know you're you know, obviously you work with Bear Balance, and I think when I see the difference here, this is where like one thing that Alex mentioned that's like it's oftentimes just so overlooked, and we look at all these like tactical things which 100% matter, is like the hypothesis idea angle that he just mentioned. That's like the big thing that we as an agency are always wrestling with for our clients, is trying to figure out what that hypothesis, what that angle is. So, you know, with you right now, if I look at from a bird's eye view what your hypotheses are right now, I see a lot of stuff about like delicious. I see a lot of stuff about clinically dosed. I see like some discount type angles, snacking. I think for you, what you really need to do is figure out who your customer is and what their like dream scenario is, right? So for um, people might not be wanting to buy gummies for the taste or like just a snack. I think the angle that you really need to capitalize on is like the end result. So like I think Dylan at you know, Bear Balance a little bit like crazy with this, like PSA, like Ozempic, like crazy stuff like that, like making claims. But it could be even like really honing in on like that summer body, abs, maximize muscle, the winter arc bulk starts now. You need this, and then start to like almost educate through ads why they need the amino acids to get to that goal. So it's almost like a little bit more about selling the dream, a little bit more where like the visuals, you're jacked, you probably have friends that are like jacked, whatever, like showing like, hey, like this is, if you want to, you know, crush your goals, like you're going to need this as a tool to get you there. And, you know, obviously with any supplement, we all know that's like not the one thing that's going to do everything, but still from a marketing perspective, we still want to paint that dream, paint that end goal for them, and that they'll be more excited about it. I think like, I feel like Dylan gets a lot of inspiration from what Obvi does as well. Obvi goes way crazy with it, Ozempic claims and stuff like that. But still, like they're doing it because it works. And I'm sure you've obviously talked to Dylan about this type of stuff. Belly fat killer. You know, maybe it's like max out your arms or like get the biggest guns, like cheesy stuff like that. But it actually would work for people that are looking to achieve that right now. So that's kind of like my final thought there. And that dictates obviously all your creative. And then once you get that improved creative into the mix, that's where Alex is talking about each ad set. Hypothesis number one is like the winter arc bulk. Hypothesis number two is like maxing out your arms or biggest arms in the gym, like just like little angles like that to speak to people, their pain points, what they're trying to eventually achieve, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, it makes total sense with the ad set and then the add in all three of them, like Alex just mentioned, because that's something that we weren't doing. Like, and you see my catalog, like every single one of those, I went in and build them ads. So it's like some consistency because I'll duplicate and then just change the media, but it makes more sense like this, and it's hopefully a lot easier to manage than
that. And that's the other thing too, is that doing it this way is actually way less work than probably what you're doing now.
Yeah, definitely, because I only have to make 4 ad sets and make it look good and just go in there versus
because I mean, like Pat said,
158.
Exactly. I mean, and like Pat said, it's mixing having the right structure with having the correct messaging and the correct hook. I mean, you're in social media, you know how that works. It's all about stopping the scroll. So you're not selling the product, you're not selling, for the most part, you're really not selling the benefits and blah blah blah. You're selling what is the outcome of when this product is in your life and you're using it every day and that kind of thing. That's the message you have to get across.